the Explosion Network's Fast and Furious podcast, and we don't have friends. We have family. Each week in the lead up to Fast and Furious 9, we shall be cracking a Corona to discuss the films, characters, music, and more of the Fast saga. Well, this is the last episode, so that's what we was doing. My name is Dylan Blight, and joining me, Ashley Holby.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here, but I'll only give you until I finish my cuppa, and I'm fucking thirsty.
Yes, very good. Elsa here, Kira Marchant.
Dylan, if you keep going like that, I'm going to knock that microphone so far up your ass that Ashley's going to have to talk into your asshole to make it record.
How long did you sit there trying to reword that to make it make sense in this context?
Look,
because I just picture you sitting there.
There was definitely a pause halfway somewhere in there that I was like, quickly, my brain was like buffering. It was like, you know, you got a YouTube video on poor internet or Ashley's normal internet.
Ashley's internet?
And it just spins there for a second, but you're good. You just keep working through it.
You got there. All right, so this is the last episode until we talk about the brand new Fast and Furious 9, of course. We're talking about Fate of the Furious this week. It was released in 2017, directed by F. Gary Gray, written by Chris Morgan. Also of note, this is the last, unless he returns for 10, this is seemingly the last Chris Morgan one after he did 3 till 8. So, the main cast: Vin Diesel, Jason Statham, Dwayne Johnson, Michelle Rodriguez, Tyrese Gibson, Chris Ludacris, Bridges, Charlize Theron, Nathalie, Emmanuel,
Nathalie,
Kurt Russell, Luke Evans, Elsa. What? Natalie. Oh, sorry, yeah, Nathalie Emmanuel. Kurt Russell, Luke Evans, Elsa Pataky, Kristofer, Hivju? I'm assuming the J's silent in his name, right? Surely. Like Finnish or whatever he is from Game of Thrones, dude. Wouldn't it be silent? Hivju or Hivju? I'm going with Hivju. And Scott Eastwood. So, synopsis for this film is: when a mysterious woman seduces Dominic Toretto into the world of terrorism and betrayal of those close to him, the crew faces trials that will test them as never before.
You want to play like that? This is impossible, which is why
I explain this one. All this podcast kept being like, Kieran hasn't watched 8. Kieran hasn't watched 8. Kieran hasn't watched 8. So you watch it the other day. I'm like, oh, so how did you know, just give me a little heads up. How you feeling?
I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry. I relaxed. I watched it like immediately. I think we finished recording the episodes for Fury 7. We stopped recording. I like literally ditched these two. I was like, guys, you built this up for me. I'm going to ditch you. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I'm going to go watch Fate of the Furious. So I started watching Fate of the Furious. I'm like, oh yeah, this Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, wherever they are. This part.
Cuba.
Very familiar. I've already said that. Very familiar. Cuba, thank you. It's pretty much the same place. As I kept watching, just more and more of it just seemed more and more familiar. Like, just as if I'd already watched it before. And then I think I remember watching it one night a year or two ago where I was like half asleep or sick, and I just like woken up or like watched flashes of it and got to the Elena bit, and I was like, you know what? I do know about Elena and the kid. I do know this. I know about that. So okay, let's keep going with this. Yep, I've seen Dom at this bit. Okay, yep. I've seen it. Oh, yep, I'd seen like a lot of it. I'd seen up until the New York section. I definitely hadn't seen Helen Mirren section because she blew my mind with her accent throughout that whole bit.
Well, I was thinking about, because you told me, and I thought New York section was like closer to the end, but then when I thought about it, I'm like, New York's before she kills Elena.
Yeah, it's before she kills Elena.
And it's before Helen Mirren. It's before a lot of the stuff, actually.
So there's like a decent portion of the movie. I think, I just kind of put it down to me just completely blanking out or like just being in some kind of comatose state and then realizing up to the New York bit that I wasn't properly paying attention and then turning it off to watch it another time. And then until we did this podcast, I just never got around to watching it.
So overall, how was you feeling about it when you got to the end? Did you like it or did you not like it? Because of course I've been talking a lot of shit about it.
It was middle of the way. I'm not as invested in hating it as much as you are. I understand your point of view though, and what little we discussed the other day about it. I really enjoyed. I enjoyed like the humor and the more comedic sections of this movie. It's just, I don't know. It didn't have for me. It didn't coming off of Furious 7 and how the end of that impacted, and just kind of the narrative fidelity of it, and as I've been saying throughout this whole, recording this and watching these movies step by step, Fast and Furious actually has some pretty good narrative work in it. Like, it's actually written like somewhat reasonably, and even though it's over the top shit, it seems to still be written well and with its thought process in mind.
You can write a good action movie. It doesn't. You can't compare a drama, Academy Award-winning drama, to Fast and Furious. Like, they're trying to do different things, and you kind of rate it on what it's trying to do. Is my argument for why Fast and Furious is a good franchise.
Yeah, it's just some of that narrative kind of goes out the window. So the narrative side of things in this movie is not that great. But other than that, like, The Rock is The Rock, and it's kind of weird seeing him so much in this movie and so much revolving around him, which I guess they desperately needed because of the whole storyline of Dom being bad, or like, him having to play on the other side. You needed another kind of lead character to kind of take the reins a little bit of the good side.
So I think a lot of this movie is. I think the plot of this movie would have worked a lot better if Brian was in it.
Yes,
100%.
It would have had a lot more of a lead anchor to dramatize that and whatever else. Because, like, it's one thing to see Letty, of course, upset, but our main sort of member in that group, they center it on Hobbs as being like the main one there now, and it's like. No, like, there's no anchor. And that's the other thing. Like, I haven't watched this since I saw it in theater. This is my second time watching it. And any scene with the group, I'm just like, it just feels off.
The only person who actually feels emotionally distraught from the whole thing happening with Dom is Letty.
Yeah.
Like, the rest of the group, they're kind of in this weird spot where they're friends of Dom and they've worked with Dom over the last couple. But I don't think they've ever kind of surpassed and gone further into a friendship or a relationship with him. Like, they are still.
Well, you think about it.
Most of them are there because of Brian.
Roman and Tej are both Brian's friends.
Brian's friends, yeah. They're all Brian's friends apart from Letty.
Rams, yeah.
And Ramsey, she's new. Yeah. She doesn't know fucking Dom, really. And the only person who could have been in this movie who could have like had another storyline about them being equally upset about Dom crossing would have been Han. That's the only other person, but he's not there. Brian's not there, so you're left with this weird group of all like Brian's friends who don't really know much about Dom of them when they was introduced to him a couple films ago. Like, not enough to be like, man, this I've got a real connection to this guy, sort of thing. That's why it makes the whole movie feel so weird. And then they like center it around Hobbs. And Hobbs is like, oh, brother, you betrayed us the wrong time. Like, it's not emotionally interesting,
There's also, like, they try and do this playoff thing towards the end. The big reveal that Dom's been planning on how he's going to turn on Cipher and bringing in the Shores and everything, blah, 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 and how he did that. That was cool, but at the same time, I wish there had been more connection to him trying to connect with the people that are actually in his group of quote-unquote friends or his family, somehow involving Letty in some way, and then they have this big reveal that everybody's kind of knows what's going on, or it's all been working as part of the plan instead of team. Because it just feels really weird that other than, like, everybody's super in the dark about what's going on with Dom, and it's like kind of like Dom's just, and I understand what he's like for his kid and everything, but at the same time, it's just, seems a little kind of disconnected.
Ash, what are your thoughts on this movie? Because I think I remember you liking it more than I did when we talked about it at release. I think.
Did we talk about it at release? I probably should look that up. I mean, it's fine. It's definitely less memorable than every other film, I think, except maybe the Fast and the Furious. I feel it's like is at that end of the scale. But more importantly, watching it after the Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, this is clearly a prelude to that. You can see all the little bits and pieces they're sticking in there to build up to that movie. Yeah. It feels less like a proper Fast and Furious entry.
Yeah, that's definitely something I noticed this time too, having watched the Hobbs and Shaw thing, where just watching this movie, I'm like, this is just a gateway. Like it's just so obviously a gateway to getting to that movie, which is why I think that it just makes the whole movie weird. But I didn't like it less than I already liked it because I gave it a 6. All right, so that's what I reviewed it at, 6. I think it's okay because there are some strong scenes in it. I think Cipher is a cool bad guy. I think Charlize Theron makes a good evil character. She does that well. I think the Dom storyline stuff is actually interesting. Like just anytime he's in the plane, like those emotional scenes with like seeing the child for the first time, Elena being shot, like all that sort of stuff. Vin Diesel's actually somewhat acting, which is a thing. Not just grunting and whatever else. So that's all cool. But then, every time it kind of switches back to the family being after him, I'm like, there's no, like, it just feels empty and weird. Little nobody pisses me off. Shit character. Of course, I've got a million problems with Deckard Shaw in this, especially by the time we get to the end of the movie. And even more so than before, a lot of it just feels like set up for the spin-off movie like we're talking about. And then also the action scenes, and I kind of teased this last week and I have not changed my mind. The action scenes are just non-eventful. Like they seem like there's a lot happening, but I honestly think the action scenes in this movie are the least exciting of the entire franchise, in my opinion. Like all of them. The least exciting. Even least exciting than Too Fast and Furious, less exciting than Fast and Furious. Like at least that tanker, the opening of Fast and Furious 4 is more exciting than that action scene is more exciting than any of the action scenes in this, in my opinion.
The only thing I guess that comes kind of close to being interesting is the New York section. But other than that, the end scene was kind of bland. You know, not even Rock kicking a torpedo is any interesting. I think towards the end, I think Cipher becomes a lot less of an interesting villain because the moment the Shaws enter that plane, she's screwed. Like, there's no... Like, she's just on the downhill. I know that's kind of a thing where she's been in control the entire movie and whatever, but she's just up until, and when the Shaws get on, you're like, oh, okay, she's got nothing to... As soon as the baby's good, she doesn't do anything to try and turn the tables back in her favor or alter things. Her henchman dude gets immediately destroyed by Dom. It's just a little bit lackluster in terms of the villain and what they're trying to do.
It doesn't help that she's the only villain, really. Like in the last couple of films, we've had Gina Carano, Tony Jaa in the last one, like someone formidable to actually fight against the crew. I think that's probably again.
I believe you'll find that's supposed to be Kristofer.
Yeah, but what's he do in the entire movie? Does he actually get into any fights? No. He like points a gun at Letty, and then he points a gun at Letty at the end, and then Dom hits him with something. I can't remember. Did he hit him with a car? No, nothing.
Slams him on the car, and then he fucking breaks his neck.
It's not like a massive fight scene, and I think that's probably again because Paul Walker's not there, and like you said,
he was the one. Yeah, he was the one that pushed for more fight scenes because he did martial arts and whatever else. So yeah, and I definitely feel, and I mean, I like, that's the thing. Like, I like a lot of F. Gary Gray's other films. I just don't think he was a good pick for this. I don't think he has it for this. I think it takes something to make an action film with ridiculously unbelievable things feel exciting and yet also somewhat realistic within the grounds of the world. And Justin Lin has proved time and time again that he has the knack for doing that. And even James Wan with Seven proved that he could do that also, which of course then he got Aquaman and Justin Lin got Star Trek off this, but FK Gray, and he's done action stuff before, but none of it I really like. I like his more like non-action stuff, which kind of just says stuff, you know.
It's even interesting in just the build-up of reveals and stuff like that in this movie. Like, you know, they made a big thing about having a tank or them having that lightweight tank, but they never made like a Fast and Furious moment where it comes like bursting out of nowhere and reveal that they're using the tank in the situation or anything. It was kind of just there.
They just drive up. The whole thing is about having Roman in the Ferrari, which like in the snow, cool. Like they can spot you or whatever.
It's a Lamborghini. It's okay though.
It's a Lamborghini, bro.
It's a Lamborghini, but it's fine. But yeah, it just doesn't feel like there's that kind of hype moments in the movie where you have those. This is fucking stupid, but I love it and I'm having fun and I'm hyped by it.
And on a similar regard, like I think there's some good songs on the soundtrack, but I think the songs in the movie themselves are just weirdly underplayed and underused, and you don't have any like particular memorable Fast and Furious moment where like a song's playing and it's like badass or whatever. Like you think back to 7, heaps of like scenes where music would be blasting and like, you know, James Wan, they filmed a bunch of those like quick shots around the dance parties and whatever else, because that's Fast and Furious, you know, like the franchise started with that sort of stuff, and that's always made the movies feel the way they are somewhat. And in this, you've got nothing. Like the songs will just kind of kick in as you watch like Dom drive over the bridge to New York, and it comes up the tile saying New York or whatever. But it just doesn't feel exciting. Like this movie just lacks a lot of something. And I know it's like it'd be weird to put the entire blame on like being the one after such a tragic loss, of course. But I really do feel like people were just fumbling for what to do now, you know? And like it's like, we got to do this, don't do this. Like Vin Diesel talked about how the opening scene was because Brian loved having to start with that car race and whatever else that they did that to honor him. And I'm like, yeah, but the race was shit. So
the race was shit, and it has no impact on the rest of the movie.
Excuse me.
Oh, it does, because that one guy
helped
comes
in the van.
I guess, but
the most ridiculous moment in. He did all that.
He's like, I was there. I came all the way.
That for 4.5 minutes.
Yeah, he came all the way from whoop. Yeah, wherever the
Cuba.
were again. Cuba. Yeah.
Puerto Rico.
So let's jump into it. I just remembered something I did put on notes that I had to mention, but so we'll mention that first. Updating into the family tree. Leo Santonas, whatever, who we last saw in the casino and were presumed dead or gone. They're alive.
Yay.
They're still part of the group. Dom calls them in for help. They show up for a hot
They're the part of the B team.
minute, 2 minute, yeah. Whatever. Yeah. They come back quickly, so they're still around. They're still kicking. Will we see them in the next movie? I would presume so, because Justin Lin's coming back and he
likes him.
Invented those characters, so yeah, I would expect them to be back. But yeah, they're kicking. So apparently Deckard is now part of the family according to this movie, which of course I hate. And the main reason that I hate it, obviously, is because it just is a load of bullshit, and it's why we've got #justice is coming, because the guy killed Han. He only helped out.
But does at this point there has to be somebody. Does anybody know that Han's still alive at this point?
No.
Don't you know?
They can retcon it in the next movie. We have to take. We're looking at this movie with what we know, not with assuming what they may.
Like it could be like how last movie.
What are you talking about? We've been watching all these movies knowing that we're going to be watching 9 and Han comes back.
Yeah, but I don't know how they're going to retcon it to make me feel better about.
But then also you could have that stuff like, you know, how last movie it didn't feel weird about Elena's and Dom's interaction because you know what it's about and you know the behind the scenes to that. I just think there's
it's not even the same thing.
Justin Lin could save it.
I'm hoping he does. But at the moment, watching this movie, my feelings are still the same. Like the fact that they because this is it. This is all it feels like to me. They solely use this movie as a platform to make the spin-off, and to get to the spin-off, they have to turn the audience around on Deckard Shaw and make the audience think of him as an anti-hero, not a villain. So this movie turns the table.
I don't think that's true. I think they just felt that. I think to quote unquote replace Brian, they needed both The Rock and Shaw. One of them wasn't good enough.
But they're not going to be in F9, so what difference does it make?
Yeah, the fuck does it matter?
But I think that's what they thought at this point in the creative process. Was that
it's blatantly obvious from watching this movie they had the spin-off in plan as they were making it.
Yeah.
Have you watched the spin-off?
Yeah, I have. It's very long.
It's very long.
I will say, I think they should have not had the Harker in this film and saved it for the spin-off. Because that would have been cooler.
They do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like...
it would have been cooler if it was just in the spin-off.
In case anyone doesn't know, by the way, so Chris Morgan, as I said, this is the last Fast and Furious that he's wrote. Chris Morgan did not write Fast and Furious 9. Someone else got hired to do that. I'm hoping that he got fired for fucking up Han by Justin Lin. He's like, I'm not doing the movie if that fucker is writing this who fucked up Han. I'll get out of here.
Maybe they got
Chris
beef.
Morgan, maybe. Chris Morgan did write the spin-off, and he is apparently writing the second one of the spin-off as well. So Chris Morgan has been writing these films since 3, and now he's jump shipped over to the spin-offs, it seems. He's taken off over there, which I'm like, whatever. So, yeah, he wrote the Harker in this and then wrote it again in Hobbs and Shaw. Like, dude, get some new ideas. You can't just have him do it in 2 movies. Come on. It's a bit excessive. At least split them up every second movie, Harker time. Well, I don't know. Fucking slow it down.
Well, you know, it wasn't. This was a Harker with little girls at a soccer game.
Yeah, little white girls.
And the Harker, and the Harker in the next one is burly Samoan men.
Yeah. So you completely undercut the Harker by having a bunch of little girls do it as a joke.
Don't know if it's a joke. Did you see the other team? They were intimidated.
Yeah, their reaction is the joke.
You know what? This shows the tactileness of Hobbs, right? Because he's looked at his team. He knows his players aren't very good. He knows then they don't have a chance at the championship. But if they do the Harker before the game and make the other girls terrified of them beforehand, easy.
I mean, that's a general idea of the Harker anyway.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Tactile. He's doing it. He's a big thonker.
Anyway, that's my problem, of course. When we talk about 9 next week, it's going to be, I presume, a big part of the conversation about if they, in my eyes, do they or do they not solve this major problem? Because look, I'm going to be more than happy to go back if I do this whole rewatch thing in a lead up to 10. I don't know, but in a world that if I do, and I could rewatch 8 after 9 and feel better about it because of what 9 did, I'm all for that. You know, I'm all for some retconning.
If we rewatch them again for the lead up to 10, can I not watch the end of 7 so I don't ugly cry again?
No, that's all we're doing.
No,
we're just doing 10 episodes of season 2 of this. Is just the end of that talking about it. And then the other person we add to the family in this is, of course, Baby Brian, who will get his own movie in a couple of years.
In only a couple years?
No, he's going to show up in the Spy Races cartoon.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Go for gold. And then on the bad guy family tree, Cipher is going to turn out to be connected to everyone and Thanos. That is just my theory.
I mean, they went, hey, Luke Shaw. He's connected to everything that happened to you prior in this franchise. He was the guy pulling all the strings. Well, guess what? There was another person pulling his strings this entire time. Crazy.
Yeah. This movie does what they did in James Bond in 007 a couple of years ago.
Spectre. Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, Spectre. They're literally just like Cipher was the person who that person was working for, that person was working for, that person was working for. Like everyone comes back to Cipher. Like for the entire like last since 5, I guess. No,
since 4.
6. Well, not 4. Since 4. That guy does work for that guy. So you're right. Yeah. So they're all connected since 4. They all topple up to Cipher. So that's why, honestly, if we get down to 10, like if we get to 10 and it's going to be Cypher's got all the bad guys out of prison and we're doing some fucking Avenger shit, let's go.
No.
Off to the
Listen,
but let's be honest.
Listen, bad guy for F10 needs to be Josh Brolin.
in a mocap suit as Charlize Theron.
Yeah. Fucking
As a
hell.
clone of
Well,
Brian.
No, it's just we all got to.
Scarlett Johansson can play Han.
We've all got a week to prepare for John Cena to be part of the family.
I mean, technically he's part of the family.
Yeah, he's blood.
He's blood, so it's hard to cross out.
But blood isn't thicker than family.
Blood is not always
What are they saying? What's the line in the trailer?
That's the one.
Blood isn't always family. Is not. No, what are they saying?
Blood is not always family.
Yeah, blood's not always
Yeah.
What a tagline. What a tagline.
Are we getting to my favorite part of the show yet?
Yes, we are. Let's go to favorite line. And because you really want busting, you can go first, Kieran. I feel like someone's going to steal mine, but anyway, it's fine.
He's got this thing. It can see like everything. It's called the Devil's Bumhole or something. Yeah, it's called the God's Eye. Yeah, well, whatever.
Shout out to Helen Mirren.
You just had a date with Helen Mirren. She's also she's the best part in the spin-off movie.
Oh,
well,
she is easily in this. Oh, she's just so.
It's your brother, mate.
Just the accent is so good.
Oh, Dick.
You made me cry. Take your brother.
Yeah, take your brother. Yeah. The best part of the spin-off is her and the girl, the sister. She's great. And also the best part of the shorts in this movie is Helen Mirren. So.
Yep.
I don't know. Deckard
no?
Shaw is pretty good.
No, fuck off. Ash, what's your favorite line?
Let me tell you something. Me and you, one-on-one. No one else around. I beat your ass like a Cherokee drum.
And my line is also a similar one that Kieran fucked up before, but also the proper version, which is, I'm going to knock your teeth so far down your throat, you'll have to shove a toothbrush up your ass to brush them.
Again.
Because it's actually quite funny.
The Rock and Jason Statham get all the good lines. And Helen Mirren. All for the spin-off. Yeah.
I will say, Ashley, how do you feel? Because Dylan doesn't like it because it's pandering to people so they like him more than they like Han. I really enjoyed the Deckard and Baby Brian scene. Like, I enjoyed him just, talking and just...
Yeah, everybody likes kids, They soften you up.
It's just great.
You know what I like?
Listen.
More than kids. Non-crisp Han.
Non-crisp Han. Fucking hell. Well, he isn't crispy.
As I was watching the last scene, I'm like, wow, he's not actually at the barbecue. Like, there were tons of shots. He's like, not in it. And then the very last shot before the end of the movie, he's in that shot right next to... They could have made him, return the baby and then left.
No, that's my problem.
I mean, you can fix it.
Maybe, I honestly may have felt better if the last scene was him returning the baby and Vin Diesel just be like, I respect what you've done for me, but you and me, we aren't cool. Also, some sort of mutual, you're walking away.
Is,
I thank you for helping me, but you ain't fucking staying for the barbecue. But he stays for the barbecue.
Dylan, I have some really heartbreaking news for you. And this might be a truth that you're not ready to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Dom's baby is more important to Dom than Han is.
Well, that's his fucking loss, isn't it?
Well, no, because he got the baby back. So.
He didn't call it Han. Fucking piece of shit. What he's like, Brian's still alive, I'll call it Brian. Han's dead, calls the baby Brian. Fucking fake friend.
Well, it'd be kind of, whitewashing to call it Han.
Call it Homer.
Maybe what? We don't know its middle name. It might be Brian Han Toretto.
No, its middle name's Marco.
Oh. Fuck.
Call it Brian Han. What's the guy who died from number 1?
Maybe
Jesse.
Dom already.
Jesse. What's the guy from died number 5 or whatever?
No, that's the actor.
What's the dude
fucking
Vince.
Vince.
Yeah. Brian Han Jesse
Vince.
Marco
Toretto.
Marco Toretto. Get on this fastandfurious.fandom.com. We've got the official Wikipedia knowledge of the characters' names over here. Okay, so moving on from favorite line, let's get into the mix. Of course, picking 2 songs each to chuck into the ultimate Fast and Furious playlist. I'll chuck mine out first this week. So I had, and once again, I'll say that I don't think the soundtrack's used well in the movie, but Candy Paint, Post Malone, because I'm a Posty fan, and then Good Life, the G-Eazy and Kalani, that song. The Good Life, Good Life, Good Life. It's like the key song, I guess, from the movie. Kieran, what do you got?
I'm going to go with Seize the Block by Migos and Mamacita by Little Yachty and Rico Nasty.
Say that one again. Rico?
Rico Nasty. Because that shit's just nasty.
What do you got, Ash?
I got Go Off by Lil Uzi Verts. And Lil Uzi Vert.
Ash, this shows that you barely play shooters or first person shooters. It's clearly Uzi.
Yep. And then Don't Get Much Better by a bunch of people.
By a bunch of people.
No, you need to try and say them.
Jeremy, Ty Dollar Sign,
yeah, sure.
Sage the Gemini.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
There you go. It was
Or
3
Ty
people.
dollar sign Ein.
It's Ty Dolla Sign, I believe is how you say the person's name. All right, so Jesus Christ. Looks like we're all out of NOS this week.
Oh no! We're out
there's
of
one more-
NOS.
I'll be saying it one more time. The podcast's not over. We've got another episode left. Yeah, of course, this is the last one. Next week we'll be talking about the movie. So, of course, come back to make sure you can hear all that. You can follow us all on Twitter by heading to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. Fast and Furious 9 next week. Probably, presumably, have a review up before this drops or like shortly after as well. So you can find that on explosionnetwork.com. So look out for that one as well. And don't forget that Justice is coming.
Thank God, I finished my cuppa.
Oh, yeah.
And is it though?